Hello and welcome to my review on Derwent Inktense pencils. So they come in a really lovely tin and it says 24 on the front. In actual fact you get 23 Inktense pencils and one outliner pencil. That will be used for you to plan and draw your designs. So a couple of things to notice. If they've got a little brush mark on the pencils, it means they're water soluble, so I know that I can use these with water. And the second thing is they're colour coded on the ends and the tips of the pencil, which means it's just easy for me to use. Today I'll start by using Sun Yellow, as I always find when I'm using watercolour pencils or other colouring pencils that yellow is the one I use most frequently, so I'd really like to understand how this works in terms of Inktense and the pigment qualities that it holds. So using a paintbrush and a little bit of water, I can see here that I can drag the colour across the page and it turns instantly to ink. Now what I love about this is the fact that I can use those initial marks, those initial pencil marks, and just use a little bit more water and it does turn to watercolour and it spreads quite far. You can see I've covered most of the top part of my page here, so that's just really good news when I start layering up colours. Now I'm going to see how it fares by layering two of the same colour. So I'll start with my field green and then I'm going to add my apple green over the top. And we'll see how this works together, because usually blending is not a problem with pencils like this, but it's when we come to add the water, is it going to really give us that ink-like quality that we've seen with the yellow? So with one of the colours, it certainly is starting to give the same appearance as it did with the yellow. Now I blend both the colours together and actually I am starting to see that third colour, and I'm seeing it travel as far as it did with the yellow. So you can make it a lot lighter depending on how much water you want to add. I'd like to take a closer look at how we layer colours on top of each other, and I've chosen the Iris Blue and the Shiraz Red to just have a go and see if it makes that third colour in the middle. So normally you would add blue and red and you'd make your purple. Let's see if this is the case with Inktense pencils. So firstly I can see the Shiraz Red is certainly coming through the strongest out of the two, mainly probably because that's on top in terms of the layering. So the blue isn't showing through as well as I'd expected, but you do get that nice kind of wine red colour. So one statement that I was really keen to test out with the Derwent Inktense pencils is opacity and permanence of the colour. You can see here that I've layered purple and red on top of the yellow just to see if it would just blend together, but actually it works really well, and instead it forms a second layer over the top. Now as a textile artist, I was really keen to use these pencils on fabric. So I started with using the Sun Yellow and that turned out really well, just using a aqua brush or a water brush to just blend those colours together instead of a traditional paintbrush. You can see here that actually using those initial strokes I could start to bring the colour further down the fabric. It's a little bit tricky because actually the fabric that I'm using hasn't been washed, so if you were to use it on washed fabric it would give a slightly different appearance, and with mine it's the water's slightly bubbling on the surface. I'll have a go with the orange as well, as if I was doing a whole colour chart, just so that I can get a flavour of how it works. So I thought I'd have a go at another fabric, I'm using a cotton muslin here, and you can see actually the water reacts quite differently because it's a slightly lighter cotton, and also its bleed rate is quite a lot more substantial than the other cotton. Because it hasn't been treated, you can see it goes through the fabric, and again I'm using a water brush to do this. So either of these effects, I quite like them for textiles. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with these pencils, I have to say. Using them on fabric and using them on paper alike, it really does bring to life that ink-like quality that these pigments hold. These pencils are so versatile that you could use them if you were a designer or a painter, or certainly if you were a textile designer as well. The layering and certainly the pigment quality is second to none. I would highly recommend purchasing these. Thank you for watching this review. Subscribe to Make Explore Art for more tips and tutorials, and see you next time.